And we cannot talk about education and leave the gender that is most affected. I'm sorry to bring about gender at this time, but it is the girls that are most affected, especially during this time, that realize most of the girls have dropped out of school. Some of them have been traded for obtaining a meal in a home. And then, especially girls. So when they drop out of school, they not only drop out of school, but they drop out of the system. The generation looks at them as caste or the ones that have a bad omen on them. So Lady Maureen, we would like to understand more how we can continue to advocate for ending teenage pregnancies in this COVID era.
First of all, getting pregnant while you're still in school isn't really the end of the world. There is more life, there is more fun, there is more, I can't even mention after that. There is more you can do after that. Getting back to your question, I think it's a debate that we can have from now until, I don't know when. We can never stop. However, yes, it's really true. Schools are looked at as safe spaces for adults and girls and young women. When they're in school, research says when girls are in school, they can be able to prevent themselves from HIV infections. They can be able to prevent themselves from rape and defilement. And all of these are things that lead to teenage pregnancies. However, due to the COVID-19 period, we've all witnessed closure of schools. It's been months. How many months? Like almost a year now. Everyone is home. And reopening schools has now become debatable, which is really sad. It's really sad. We've been forced to adapt to virtual learning. And don't get me wrong, I think it's something really nice. But let's not forget that almost 80% of children that go to school are in rural areas. There is a big gap in access to technology in the rural areas. So what are we going to do about that? Yeah, it's just, it's food for thought. It's not like I'm asking so much. Reopening schools really is one of the first priority we have if we really want to address the teenage pregnancy issue. There was doubled numbers in the COVID-19 period. We were reading articles from Daily Monitor, New Vision, even social media, however much people look at it as a dangerous tool, but trust me, that is one of the platforms where people get to talk openly. Yes, and we were looking at very many cases. I remember there was a time when I come from Kabale and I always follow up so much on their communication, and there was a time one of the media house there reported a case where a young girl gave birth and she threw the kid in the toilet. That was one case. That was the probation officer reporting. However, when that post went up on social media, there were many comments, many cases coming up. They were like, just one. For us in this constituency, we have like 8. And like everyone was reporting, and that really showed how much we had doubled numbers of teenage pregnancies. Right now, priority number 1 really is reopening schools. They are safe spaces. They are really safe spaces. At the time a young girl spends virtual learning, a girl in primary school, you're going to give a tablet to do, online classes and all that. There is so much more they can use to do with that tablet. We are talking about adolescents. It is okay for us, maybe the youth, because we need the virtual space. But let us think about the adolescent girls and boys who have been going to school. So I wouldn't want to bring more other options, but the first priority right now, we need to reopen schools. Kids need to go back to school. Thank you.
The question is about teenage pregnancies. I think before we talk about the solution, we should look at where is the problem coming from, right? Why do we have all these girls getting pregnant, especially during this period of time? Number one, could it be that it's the parents who are giving them away for money because of the issue of COVID, and everyone needs to survive in one way or another? So if one of those is the case, we need to still look at the issue of gender equality, because some parents in the villages still believe that a girl child is a source of income. And then secondly, we need to engage parents in sex education. I remember when I was still young, my sister, I think some people went to that school and told them about sex education, use of condoms and abstinence, etc. So my aunt came to visit her with my dad, and she told my auntie about it. And my auntie was like, yes, you have to abstain, but when the worst comes to the worst, you can use a condom or something of the sort. And when my dad heard this, my dad was very furious, and it became a problem. You get? So I think sometimes our parents need to be open to the idea of sex education. They need to really educate these girls about the options that are there. If abstinence has failed, what is the other option that is there? And then another very, very important role still is the role of parents in educating the girls and talking to them about the future. I do understand that our parents nowadays are very busy. They don't have time to spend with their children. Personally, growing up, I don't even remember ever spending time with my father much of the time because he was so busy. So you realize the gaps are there. Your parent doesn't understand you. Also, they don't know the challenges that you're going through. But if parents decided to communally, in our villages, if you want something, you just go to the clan leaders, and then they involve these women, and then they engage them. If someone could educate them about their role, how their role is important, and how vital they are in shaping these kids, I think it will be key to have these parents spend more time with their children, study them, be with them, educate them, so that they can be in position to stand against all these vices and protect themselves.
Thank you. It's okay.
When I was presenting, I had a voice at the back, like, what then? Open schools, then what then? And what came to my mind is, give them a chance. You are given a chance. I was given a chance. So give them a chance. Let them go to school. Then what then? We shall see what then. But we need the schools to reopen. Thank you.
Okay, I think this, I would like to direct it to Mr. Roberts. Despite the fact that we are talking about girls, teenage pregnancies, and I'm not hearing a voice saying, but what about the men? What about the men? So I would like you to speak on behalf of the men and your role, because realize that the girls are traded to the boys. So let us not round the girls alone. Let us also hear from what the gentle side has to say.
I think even before COVID, we had teenage pregnancies. Only that the increment has gone up. This comes back to families. We don't have a family policy in the Republic of Uganda, and I think we need one. A family is the first root of each and every vice. Who are making these girls pregnant? It's us men who were boys before. If I come from a family that has not really given me a good foundation, a good formation towards respect for women and girls, I think I would disrespect a woman sexually. And I think we need to go back to families, and parents must give a lot of time to their children, both men, both boys and girls. The formation that one receives from a family determines what you do. These girls are impregnated by men. What can we do about these men? Parents normally tend to give away their children, especially the men. They give up on boys at an age of 8, 9, really have nothing to do with that boy. When they're going to the boarding school, when he goes to the boarding school, it's the teacher to handle. So, as parents, we must come back to the drawing board and make sure that we give better formation to our boys and girls so that they can have moral standards. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Robert. As you're moving to the end of this discussion, I'd like to pose a question to us all. And I know some of these have been talked about, but I believe you also have brilliant ideas you would like to air out. And what can parents and institutions do to enable the COVID-19 generation access education? You might be having a more brilliant solution than ours. So as the panelists, we would like to discuss, at least on the policy making, because I heard someone talking about family policy, and we want to understand what are some of those policies and programs that can be actualized in line with promoting mind education in this COVID-19 era.
Yeah, what are some of those policies? First of all, in Uganda we really have amazing policies. We have amazing policies, but their implementation, their actualization, they are just up on the shelves. They need to be dusted. So one of the policy recommendations, first of all, is the school health policy. The school health policy is a wide policy that encompasses different ways or different ideas how we can address the gaps in schools, especially when it comes to teenage pregnancies, child marriages, HIV infections, and its prevention. But I would want to talk about the National Sexuality Education Framework. I think that is one of the, I don't know how to call it, but it's one of the components of the school health policy that we need to focus on. It could really, it cuts across both adolescents in school and out of school. It could help us come to harmonize on these discussions. Yes, there are those girls and boys that are in school, but there are also those that are not in school. So it would help us really come to an agreement on how we can help support or promote knowledge and education, promote sexual reproductive health and rights. Because the more informed we are, the more likely we are going to make better choices in the future and now. Thank you.
Thank you, Maureen. In the question, I do believe you asked about the role of parents and institutions. Of the role of parents, institutions, and policies that are available. When you talk about, I think we've already talked about so much the role of parents in education. For now, let me talk about the role of institutions. I do believe that we are all stakeholders in one way or another, and media can be something that we can use a lot to educate people. We don't know when the COVID will still continue or when it will end, but we can use the media. Radios are something that almost every household in the village uses. So if we could use these radio stations to educate the young people through their parents, we can be in position to still promote education during this time.
Greta and the panelists. So I'm going to react a bit from what the panelists have been discussing in regard to how we can achieve the quality education. First of all, I find that the entire education system needs to change, because you talked about shift of a mind, the mindset shift for a generation, and if we're going to be a generation that actually, becomes what we envision, we cannot, in my opinion, we cannot rely on the current education system. First of all, we are a generation that doesn't have enough knowledge of its history. I mean, the system we are following is one which was given to us by the colonialists. I do not know what our leaders are doing about it, but we have followed that system till now, and so I find that we can't really rely on it. People need to be equipped with knowledge. That means we need to change how we have been taught. Our children cannot be taught in the same way. And if we are going to change, then we are going to be able to equip some of the solutions that the panelists have been giving. It means that we are going to find a way of incorporating parents and other stakeholders in this, because I feel that we are we leave the parents behind, we have culture, we have all these other institutions. So we need to find a way of having them a part of this, and I think that is how we can have the quality education that can, have a positive effect on the entire generation. Thank you very much.
Sarah Berunji, I work with Smart Transitions. I don't want to take a lot of time, but since today we're celebrating International Education Day, just to echo what has been said, I think we just need to really go back to having vocational skills at a young age. For people who have traveled abroad, you have seen how the young people, let me say for example in the US, their parents ask them, what do you want to do? And then those talents and the gifts that the child has, they are incorporated at such a young age. So for us as Uganda, what can we learn from that? What can we do? Because mindset, if we have to change something, we need to begin from there. Then the other thing is to also have the traditional ways of teaching, the ones that used to be there back in the day, whereby parents used to talk to their children, teach them the norms, because that is also education. And then that can also bring in the vocational skills for the young people. Then the other one is still to incorporate the international way of learning. For us who are in Kampala, we have seen so many international schools cropping up. Why are they cropping up? What can we learn? What can the education system in Uganda learn from that? Are there skills we can get from that so that we improve how education is, so that we can have a better view of how people can stop having this notion of, now I am done with university, I have a degree, but I don't know where to begin. But there's skills you would have already learned. So I think we need to really, really go back on the ground when we talk about mindset, because we talk about it, but we don't really put it in practice. Thank you.